guys, so today I'm going to film a live brush swatch video of the BH Cosmetics Love in London palette. This is a 16 color eyeshadow palette and I haven't really seen many people talk about this. I picked it up because it has sentimental meaning for me. My husband is British and we actually met in London many years ago, so I wanted to pick it up even though I certainly don't need any more eyeshadow palettes. So as I said, this is a 16 color eyeshadow palette. It's a total weight of 16 grams, so each eyeshadow is about 1 gram, and it comes with an outer sleeve like this. So it gives you a look at the eyeshadows and some of the artwork along the border. And I actually purchased this from BH Cosmetics. I was a little reluctant to order directly from them because some people were complaining about the shipment times, but it only took about a week for me to get the palette after I placed my order. So I don't know if they were a little bit slow during the holidays, but in about mid-January I didn't have any problems. I will say that since I ordered this palette, it has shown up on the Ulta website, so I would have ordered from Ulta had it been available, but I kept checking, and at the time I purchased it, BH Cosmetics was the only retailer. So the back here says, discover the allure of city chic looks with our Love in London 16 color shadow palette. A sophisticated mix of rich neutrals and gleaming metallics to dazzle and define the eyes. In velvety matte and brilliant shimmer finishes, each pigment-infused shade delivers vivid color payoff and blends beautifully for chic effects that captivate like the city lights. And then it has that same language in French, and it has the ingredients. This is made in China, it looks like, and it does include talc. So if that is an ingredient you are cautious about, then just be aware of that. And it is cruelty-free as well. So it did include this little flyer in my order. So this is part of a collection that also has a Hawaii and a Bali themed palette. It says they are new packable palettes perfect for the hashtag BH Beauty on the go and perfectly sized for home or away. So I think it's smart that with a travel theme, they did make these palettes travel friendly. So I guess it launched January 2nd. And then on the back here you see the 3 different palettes. Hanging in Hawaii is also an eyeshadow palette, and then we also have Blushing in Bali, which is a 6 color blush and highlighter palette. So getting back to the London palette, like I said, it has this outer sleeve that you can slide off. And then this is what the actual palette looks like. I think they did a really nice job with the artwork. It has a sort of metallic rose gold center bit here, and then a lot of London themed items around the edges. So we have the symbol for the London Underground, which is the London subway, the taxi cabs, T of course, phone booth, the double-decker buses. A lot of people refer to this as Big Ben, but it's actually the Elizabeth Tower, I think. And then a stamp, a bowler hat, a mustache, an umbrella, and I think that's the London Eye. And then of course we have the guards outside Buckingham Palace. So if we flip it over, I think it has the exact same language as the outer sleeve. A little bit different information. It doesn't have the ingredients down there. And just to give you a side-by-side of the front, that is what that looks like. Okay, so opening this up, you do get a mirror, so I'll try not to blind you. So you see my camera. There you go. So that's the fan you see. So nice big mirror. It doesn't prop up or anything. It's just a kind of flexible cardboard. I think I forgot to say the price. So this was, I want to say it's like $15 full price. And then of course BH Cosmetics has different coupons. Ulta has different coupons. So you can definitely get it for a more affordable price. And then a little plastic sleeve. So these are the shades here, and it looks like you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mattes. You get 3 kind of mid-tone, 4 darker shades, some that you can definitely use to kind of smoke things out, use for eyeliner, that sort of thing. You have some more kind of transition and blending shades, so I think they did a good job on that. And you also get a good range of metallics. We have some deeper ones, some lighter ones, so we'll see what they actually look like when they're swatched. The one thing I do wish they included was a nice cream matte. So just for example, I just have this Fizzy Art palette here, for example. So that has a nice creamy matte. I like to use a shade like this all over my eyelid to kind of set my primer, just to make things a little bit easier to blend. And I think it was also a missed opportunity because if you've ever had tea in England, they have a product called clotted cream, which is kind of a mix between heavy cream or whipped cream and butter. So I think that would have been a great name for a creamy matte shade like that. So I definitely would have liked to have seen that maybe instead of one of these kind of mid-toned shimmers, but again, we'll see how things swatch. So speaking of swatches, I don't think I'll be able to keep this palette in frame. I might try to insert a photo as I'm swatching it, but I don't think I'll be able to do it side by side with my arm. And as I've done in previous swatch videos, I will be using the Lorac Behind the Scenes Eye Primer, just because the way it comes out of the tube is really easy to apply to most of my arm, and I also have a lot of these. It's not the eyeshadow primer I use on a day-to-day basis. For that, I prefer the NARS Smudge Proof eyeshadow base, but for arm swatches, I do use this. And I am also going to use the MAC 239 for matte shades. This is a natural hair eyeshadow brush. This brush is discontinued, as is, I believe, this one. I'm not sure about this one actually. MAC recently changed over all of their brushes to synthetic, so I think this might be a synthetic brush. I don't know if they kept this one or not, but anyway, I'm choosing to use these because I used them in previous swatch videos, and just for the sake of consistency, and if you'd like to compare swatches across different videos, it just makes it that much easier. So I'm going to be using those, and in between swatches I will be cleaning them with the Vermona Color Switch Solo. This is a tin with this kind of sponge in it that you just wipe your brush on just to make sure that the brush is dry and that doesn't impact the way that the shadows are swatching. A lot of different brands have come out with a product like this. I think Sephora has a store brand and Ulta has store brands of this type of product as well, so you don't necessarily need the Vermona if you're interested in a brush cleaner like this. And then, as needed, I will clean off my arm using these Kirkland Daily Facial Towelettes. So just makeup remover wipes. These have micellar water, and I try to let my arm kind of dry as best I can, but just be aware that I am removing them with a wipe in between. So the primer feels set. So the first shade I'm going in with is the metallic shade Cheeky. This is a light shimmer shade, and I'm going to try and go in order here. So this is the type of shade I like to put all over my lid, and it looks like that has a nice amount of reflect and payoff there. So the next shade is kind of a peachy matte, and this is the shade Big Ben. A little bit of kick up there, but not too bad. That looks like it blends out pretty well. So I do need to clean off my brush before the next shade. Alright, so this shade here is called Cheers. It's a nice light brown. This type of shade is a good transition shade for me, sort of a light crease shade. So that is Cheers. All right, the next shade is, it looks like it's kind of a bluish gray metallic, and that is the shade Tea. So this one looks like it might have some fallout, but it's a really pretty metallic shade here. Just be careful when you're applying it. You can see there's a little bit of kick up. So that is the first row. The first shade of the second row is called Scone, which is an even lighter matte. Even looks like it has a bit of a satin finish to it. Alright, so the next shade is called Palace, which is a light silvery taupe metallic. Really pretty shade here. Alright, the next shade is a coppery metallic called Queen. Again, fallout, but I mean, that just applied beautifully there. Probably could have done that in one swipe almost. So I think for 16 shades here, you're getting a great value. I mean, I think Urban Decay Naked palettes, and a lot of different palettes really, have about 16 shades and they go for like $50. So I think you're getting a real bargain. And just the way these are swatching, I expect them to perform beautifully on the eyes as well. So the last shade here is called London. It is a blue metallic. This one might need a little bit of help, but just going over a few more times seems to help. This is more of a royal blue as opposed to this one. It's a bit more greeny gray. So those are the first two rows there. So right now I don't have my ring light on because I thought it was blowing out the color too much. I have two floor lamps, one on either side of me, that each have 5 bulbs. So that is what I'm using in terms of lighting. I am going to turn on the ring light just for a second here so you can see it, and I think I will need to adjust the white balance. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Okay, so there we have the same lights, but also the ring light turned on. You can let me know which lighting you prefer. So I am going to show you kind of their staying power by using a makeup remover wipe. So go ahead and wipe these off. Again, I do have a primer on. So now my arm is mostly red, but you can see some of the darker shades did take a little bit more effort to get off, but nothing too bad. Okay, so I've reprimed my arm using the Lorac eyelid primer again. So I'm going in this time on the 3rd row, and the first shade is called Lolly. So it's kind of a pinky mauve. Another really pretty lid shade. It looks like this row is all metallics. And I guess with, let's see, is it 7 mattes? It's not quite half, but you are getting a good mix of mattes and shimmers. And I think the mattes they gave you kind of cover most of your bases. Like I said, I would have preferred if they had a light cream matte, but it is what it is. So going in with the second shade in this row, it's called Biscuit. And this is more of a, I don't know if it's quite burgundy, but it's definitely leaning more of the purpley dark mauve or mauve territory. And I think most people are aware that biscuit means something different in American and English, but biscuit for the British is more of a thin, we would call it a cookie, but if you've ever had, I forget what they're called. I might insert a picture, but basically it's like a hard, thin type cookie. If you ask a British person for a cookie, or if you offer them a cookie, they will understand what you're saying. A cookie to a British person would be more of like that big, soft, I guess more American style cookie, not the thin, crisp kind. But anyway, going back to the palette here, we have the next shade, which is called Prestige. I'm not sure exactly what this is in reference to. It's kind of a dark taupe, purpley gray kind of color, really pretty. I love these really foiled metallic type colors. The shade name makes me think of that, was it Hugh Jackman movie, The Prestige? The next shade is called Duchess, which is a royal purple. It looks like Prestige also had some fallout. And this one again takes a little bit of building up, but not too bad for a dark purple. And of course, Duchess is the actual title of Kate Middleton and Meghan Markle. They are the Duchess of Cambridge and the Duchess of Sussex, respectively, I think. So I'm just going back to see if there are any other shade names that need explanation. Cheeky, I think most people understand Cheeky is kind of mischievous. Big Ben is the bell in the tower. Cheers is a lot of times what people say either as a toast or as a way to say thank you for something. My husband still says it all the time. Tea, pretty self-explanatory. Scone is a pastry, but British scones more closely resemble biscuits, like American-style biscuits, than those triangular-shaped objects. Palace, of course, is self-explanatory. Queen and London, I think, are also self-explanatory. Lolly is another name for a lollipop, right? Hey, babe. A lolly is a lollipop, right? Yeah, he gave me the thumbs up. Lovely is just an adjective. Piccadilly is after Piccadilly Circus, which is kind of like the Times Square of London, just a central area. Crumpet is another style of British pastry, kind of similar to an English muffin, but it tends to have more holes in it. And posh is like elegant. I think you would think of like posh spice. So getting back to the actual swatches here, we have the first shade of the last row, which is a warm medium brown. The next shade is called Piccadilly, which is an even warmer, it's more like a browny red. So again, you can see I'm not really trying to kick off my brush or anything before I apply it because I'm trying to build up the color. But if you're applying this, you might want to just be careful of how much product you're picking up, or tap your brush before you apply it to your eyelids. The next shade is Crumpet, which is more of a cool toned dark brown. Has a lot of gray in it, it looks like. And then last but not least is the shade Posh, which looks like it's a matte black. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's black, and you can see that just kicked off a lot of powder. So those are the last two rows there, a lot of extra powder. And it looks like for this round I actually forgot to turn off the ring light. So I will turn off the ring light and readjust the white balance, and I will be right back. So I also wanted to show you the palette after I did all those swatches. So it was a completely new, untouched palette beforehand. And as you can see, there's definitely some kick up here. Nothing too terrible, nothing I'm not used to dealing with other palettes. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then I will do the same thing here where I wipe these swatches off. I do think they did a nice mix of light and dark shades, so I think this should work for most skin tones, which is nice. So I think the swatch is removed pretty easily, and my brushes definitely need to be washed now. It's always good to swatch the black shade last. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you have any questions or if you plan on picking this up. Like I said in the beginning, I'm pretty impressed with it. I have no worries about how this will perform on the eyelids, but I will let you know if I do have any issues with it. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.